with the title Subdivision of Prose Literature. Introduction. As noted in the previous study session, prose literature is a form of literary writing which is based on storyline. Prose is applied to all forms of written and spoken expression. The prose form has three main subdivisions. 1. The short story. 2. The novella. And the novel. This study session will introduce you to these three subdivisions of prose literature and the distinguishing features of each. When you have studied this session, you should be able to distinguish appropriately between the three subgenres of prose literature, such as short story, novella, and novel. The short story has a limited thematic scope. It presents only one episode or a few episodes. The characters, the subject, and the theme appear to us as fully developed. The short story is a list of the subgenres of prose literature. In volume, it is compact if it is compared with the novella and the novel. The subject matter is by presentation through selected occurrences that adequately reveal the whole. The compact nature of the short story is achieved with careful use of language, brevity, and appropriateness of symbols and metaphorical expressions. You should also know that the short story is related in content with the novel. It is a condensed form of the novel. It is meant to be read at a sitting. It is direct, brief, and brisk. It represents a single impression from one dominating character and incident. Examples are Chinua Achebe's Girl at War and Other Stories, published in 1972, and Thelma Al-Hassan's stories, The Cowrie Girl and Other Stories, published in 1971. The remarkable thing about these traditional stories in the written medium is that they still retain their creative balance between imagination and reality, and the truth that emerges is stated without apologies. Other examples of short stories include Alex Laguma's Blankets, Out of Darkness, Etude, Coffee for the Road, and Cipriano Quincy's The Rainmaker and Other Stories. What is a novella? It is an Italian word that comes from the name for certain short prose narratives popular before the novel. The novella is not as strict or disciplined as the short story, but as relaxed as the novel. In volume, its thematic scope is broader than the short story, but considerably less than that of the novel. The novella highlights a series of episodes discussed in a more detailed manner than the short story. It occupies the middle level in terms of length between the short story and the novel. Examples are Mariam Abbas' So Long a Letter, Stillborn by Zainab Alkali, and Hearts of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Another example of the novella is 100 Stories about relations between the sexes collected in Boccaccio's Decameron. Novelists themselves have used a variety of terms, including novella, tale, romance, to suggest concern with a single episode or state of affairs in prose narrative that are shorter than a novel. Such terms are never finally fixed in meaning. They depend upon the changing perceptions of their subject within particular cultural practices. Let us now take a look at the novel, The novel is a sustained fictional narrative involving ordinary human beings and their experiences in a realistic human society. The novel is mainly noted for its unlimited length and scope in its dealing with themes that touch every aspect and level of life. It is also noted for its flexibility and freedom of expression of the writer. It enables the writer to bring out his thought in a narrative sequence of a story. The novel is the most ambitious of the subgenres of prose fiction. The novel tries to be total and comprehensive in its coverage of the events and the characters it presents in a story. In the novel, characters develop considerably. Sometimes we see a character grow from childhood through adulthood. For example, Pip in Great Expectation by Thomas Hardy. The language of the novel is more relaxed, unhurried, and sometimes simple. Examples are Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, Ant Hills of the Savannah, Aikwe Ama's The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, A Walk in the Night by Alex Laguma, and so many more. According to the Shorter Oxford English Dictionary, novel is a fictitious prose narrative of considerable length, in which characters and actions representative of real life are portrayed in a plot of more or less complexity. From the foregoing definitions, novels are fictions or may be called fictitious because they depict imaginary characters and actions. However, this is not entirely correct. We know the paths of Dickens' Great Expectations were drawn from the author's own life, and that other novels, such as Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, were suggested and even based on real events. On the other hand, Shelley's Frankenstein was derived from a dream of nightmare and could hardly have happened to somebody in real life. Some novels, therefore, seem to be more or less fictitious than others. Another element of the novel is narration. This is a process of telling, and it helps to distinguish novels from plays or drama, in which the action is directly presented rather than related. Novels must be longer than an anecdote or short story. But how long is longer? Almost anything seems possible, and some novels have been immense. Clarissa, for instance, which appeared in 8 volumes, was one of the earliest novels of immense length, running to more than 1,000,000 words. In 1993, Seth's A Suitable Boy, with over 700,000 words, created a sensation in the publishing industry, while proving that readers were still willing to buy very long fictional works. It is not just a question of length. It is also a question of how much space a writer requires to fulfill his expectation. That is, a novel should engage us for a considerable time for us to feel it has dealt with its subject in some depth and complexity. Another important aspect of the novel is characterization, which is perhaps the most important aspect of novels. Most of us can recall characters from novels we have read over a long period of time more easily than the stories or even the titles and the authors. Examples of important characters in novels are Ernest Hemingway's Santiago. Chinua Achebe's Okonkwo in Things Fall Apart. Robinson Crusoe. Tom Jones. Emma. David Copperfield. Anna Karenina. Tess of the Drobovies. King. Mrs. Dalloway. Chinua Achebe in Ant Hills of the Savannah. His Excellency. Ikem. Beatrice. Rico, and so many more. In this study session, you learned the distinguishing characteristics of the three prose forms, which are the short story, the novella, and the novel. The features of each of the subdivisions were also extensively discussed. We have now come to the end of study session 2. Thanks for listening.